bear with me as I'm straight away confused by looking at it upside down. But yeah, this is my pedal board. It's kind of different to the last few tours. The main difference being this big beast, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, I actually come in here on this Philosopher's Tone, which I just got recently because I found that I was, for my clean stuff, the sort of picky, intricate stuff, I found that I was like really digging into the strings loads and like breaking a lot of strings actually, because my guitar just wasn't sort of thick or loud enough. So I wanted to really work on my clean tone. So I bought this, and it's solved all my problems. It sounds great. Really quite subtle if you want it to be, or conversely, you know, you can make it quite gritty, but it sounds great. So I have it on for about 50% of my show. Then I come across into my tuner. I actually just did it that way around because this means that the tuner picks up really quickly. From here I go into this big sort of beastly looking thing, which is the M13 by Line 6. And this is essentially just, I mean, you can use it in a few different ways, but the way I use it is that each of these buttons kind of corresponds to a 3-patch effect, you know, 3 effects in it. And the reason for that was, well, I did play an M9 previous to this, and the reason for going to a multi-effects pedal, which I'd usually stayed away from, was because of our last album, All Hail Brick Pictures, which had a lot of, just a lot of effects, a lot of sounds which were comprised of lots of effects. So it was impossible for me to make them all come on at the same time. So I had to sort of resort to a multi-effects thing, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I'd always had a bit of a thing, I guess a lot of people do, about multi-effects pedals, like I don't know, that they're, you know, inferior to, and I guess in some respects sometimes they are, but for what I needed it for, it was great. And I think that this pedal's really nice, and it has a looper in it, which I needed as well. It's got handy little tap tempo down here. You can flick between scene mode. And yeah, it means that I can have here 12 presets, and they're all nicely named up here. So I've been getting my head around that on this tour, and it's been cool. From that, I actually come down into my first gain stage, which is this OCD full tone, which is really lovely, and you can have it quite, yeah, again, quite sort of subtle, just a little bit gritty, or it actually works as a really nice distortion if I'm ever doing any festivals where I don't have my exact rig and I might be using, you know, what's at the festival. It might be like a Marshall or something. I'll use this as my distortion, and it's you know, secondary only to my Thunderverb. It's really good. I love that pedal. From there I'm into this, which is I guess just an octave pedal, really. It's really nice. I've had it for ages, and yeah, does the job. I use it for, yeah, I use it less and less actually, because I kind of have a preset in here which I really like, but I use this for whenever I'm doing some volume stuff, like low volumey stuff with some delay on. It sounds really nice. And then from here I actually go back to my amp, which is a Thunderverb 200 watt, and I use the 2 channels, clean and distortion, which I activate on this. So then I come back to send line, and I come back into here, which is my Electro Harmonics Memory Man, which I should use to its full effect, but I actually just have it on a setting here, which is the 300 millisecond modulation, and I have everything turn it into this kind of like self-oscillating insanity. So essentially whenever I press this button, it just creates this big thunderous cacophonous, sounds like a Terminator or something. It's great. And that kind of sums up this little section of pedals actually. These are all kind of for just little embellishments or intricacies. I think Niall said drum fills on guitar, but you know, just little moments where you want to have like a little sound or something at the top of a bar, the start of a line, just that really emphasizes little bits and pieces. So that's what I use these for. These are both the exact same pedal, I just have them in 2 different settings. This one goes up in a big long, it's a pitch shifter, sorry. So it goes from, I have it set to go from sort of natural right up to 2 octaves above in a big, long, linear kind of like all the way up. It sounds great. I use it all the time. And then this one I have set to go up with the 0 attack. So it jumps from the natural sound to a 5th up. And I actually use this for like, it's kind of hard to explain, but like this arpeggiation thing, which I use, I'm kind of like doing hammer-ons on like, I think triplets, and I'm pressing this on the, it's hard to explain. It makes a cool sound though, and it makes it sound like I'm really good on the guitar. And then, yeah, I already talked about this. This is the verb I'm using on this tour. I haven't always used this verb, but I used some sounds off the last album and I quite liked it. It's a Verbzilla line 6. I don't think they actually make this pedal anymore, but it's got lovely, huge, infinite delay if you want it. It's also got some really nice room sounds. I use it on a kind of like hall setting. Sometimes I'll have it full mix up, so it's just reverb, sometimes not. But I usually don't mess around with it too much. Then into this, similar to these pedals, it's another little just embellishment pedal, and it's actually a delay pedal, but I have it set on the kind of loop. And the way that Boss DD6 works, whenever you loop it, you press it and hold it, so the loop starts, and when you release it, the loop ends. So if you imagine, the shorter you do that, then the shorter the sample it records. So I use it to do like a little stuttery kind of effects every now and again, or sometimes I'll use it to actually record in little loops, you know, over and over. It's kind of cool. Then I go into my, this is the Boss DD20 Gigadelay, and I kind of just use it on quite a standard digital delay that I have tap tempo for, and I just kind of, yeah, there's a few points where I just need a quite a tidy repeat, and yeah, I don't really do anything very fancy with it. And then finally, well, sorry, penultimately, we have the Disaster Transport Senior, which is probably my favorite pedal on the board at the minute. It's done by Earthquaker Devices, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous delay, but modulating delay. And I have that set really slow, really long delays, repeats up really high, and you just can brush the strings and just let the sound of the pedal do the rest. It is really beautiful. I love it. And it's got some cool functions. You can have the pedal on or off, and when you switch it off, the tails are cut off straight away. You can also have the effect on. This is A, this is B. You can have them primed, ready to be on. So while you're playing something, you can be priming them up, and as soon as you switch this on, they're on. Conversely, you can have these all on, and you know, you have a big long delay here. Switch it off there, but leave the pedal on, and you get those trails, but your guitar goes back to its like original tone. So it's a dream for the music we make, because there's lots of moments where sometimes you want it to snap off, sometimes you want it to, like, you know, kind of lead into the next bit, tail off. It's perfect, love it. And then from there, yeah, we go into what Niall called the panic button, but this is just a kill switch made by Brighton Onion Pedals, a great company from Brighton, and it is exactly that. It's a kill switch. It just makes everything stop, and yeah, we, you know, try and make everything sound tight, nice straight cuts, and yeah, I think that's kind of it. Also use an EBO, which has disappeared, and yeah, sorry again for the mess of the board, but there you go.